Hello, au revoir. It is me, Mr. Matthew, back with another banger update. But before I get into an update, well, simply put, I finished the course component of my master's thesis in electrical engineering, and part of me is incredibly excited for that because that means I don't have to attend any more lectures and do assignments or projects in the evening. However, I think that something that is not often talked about in terms of doing these highly mentally exhausting and time consuming degrees is the floundering that you feel when you finish like a major portion of the work. For instance, when I was doing my bachelor's in computer engineering, every summer that came, sure, I was excited because classes was over and I was like, oh, time to play like video games. I can do whatever I want, whatever, life is good. But then there's a whole other aspect that was like weaning at the back of my brain of like, but you're not handing an assignment. You're not working towards something bigger. You're not getting this validation that you're actually like moving closer to something, if that makes sense. Like, it's like programmed brain. It developed a programmed brain that in order to actually feel like you're achieving life, that you have to be working on something, to be like submitted to then get marks or whatever. And every summer that I've had felt that way. And it would lead to like some bizarre, like, it would be like depression almost, where like you just are like, why bother waking up? Like, you don't get excited for like what you should be excited for. Like to be able to just like kind of go out and do whatever you want in the world, sit in a park and kind of be content with that because you have this idea that you have to constantly have the next thing to work on. And that could just be like a personality trait I have, but I have mentioned it to a couple of my engineering friends as well, and they do feel that as similarly, where they kind of are just consumed by the reality of like school and having to do these assignments and stuff all the time, every waking hour. I mean, like it's like from sun up to sundown, right? You wake up, go to classes, work on an assignment in between classes, come home, you work on your assignment, you eat dinner, and you work on your assignment. You probably don't even have much time to chill. Like, that was me this past term. Every waking day was kind of spent towards working on, like finishing my courses. And I mean, of course, like on the weekends, I would take some time off to do the various things that I wanted, but that's for like a day or so. I still knew that there was other stuff to be done, kind of keeping me going. But then right now, as I finished up and wrapped up, I'm kind of on a bit of a break before my like actual thesis research starts up, mind you, which I think will be like, I mean, it's intensive, but I think it'll be a lot less intensive because I don't have like a lecture plus an assignment component. Like lectures kind of during the day and assignments in the evening. I kind of just spend my day doing my thesis and then take a break in the evening, put a pin in that, whatever. But right now I'm kind of on a break if you will, before that all starts up. And it is just a bizarre feeling. I thought it was like a feeling just from kind of, I guess, my bachelor's being younger, but now that I'm a bit older, like I'm 24, turning 25 almost, and it's bizarre. I was playing my video games and stuff. Binding of Isaac, it's a good game. Um, and like it's fun. Like I'm having a good time, but then I would go to bed and be like feeling like I didn't accomplish anything. And like even though in that day I've been like going to the park and sitting and maybe journaling a little bit. I do a workout. I love working out. But then even still, like it's like nothing that can satisfy that itch of like, well, what did you work on to accomplish towards something you can hand in to get feedback or something, you know? And like, I am an ambitious guy. I want to start some of my own projects, and I've been mentioning that. However, it just feels different when you have an externally imposed deadline versus an internally imposed deadline by yourself. Like, all university is some arbitrary deadline set by this all higher being, i.e., the professor, that basically like just handed in by this date, and you're like, yeah, got it. But then when you have now your own self, it's a whole different problem. It's a whole different world where you have to do self-imposed deadlines, and it's just so different, you know? So even though I have ideas to start projects and stuff, there's just no gusto behind that movement because it's almost easier to have it done by like some external force, you know? And that is something, that mindset, I think, is like something that was kind of hammered into our brains, which is not what's talked about too much through like university and stuff, where it's like, yeah, you need external deadlines to feel like your life is moving forward, if you will, you know? Because like right now, I mean, I was quite tired and I need to reset from the end of term crunch, which is a whole different story. And it's been good, mind you. But then there's that aspect, like I was mentioning, it's like playing Binding of Isaac, whatever. You just, like, my life feels like it's not moving. What am I doing? Where's my contribution at? What am I doing with my skills? I can be utilizing them in X, Y, Z ways, and it is bizarre. Like, why should I feel that way though? Well, I know why, but like, actually, like, it's just weird because then I was like watching The Office like last night, and I'm like, a thought dawned on me. I'm like, this is, I guess I'm just like contrasting with the different ways, different like ways to live. Yeah, like for instance, a lot of people are content almost like not wanting to do any work at all, plus just like binge Netflix, and they feel like that's like a life well lived, which is fair. Like if you're content, be content. That's all we want in life. But then, like I'm like sitting there watching The Office, and it's like fun. But then, what am I doing? Like I feel like my whole life through university and engineering, and now my master's in electrical engineering, like it's spent solving problems. And if I'm not actively admit solving a problem, like who am I? And I don't think it's necessarily good to have to constantly solve problems and stuff. I think there should be some reserved space for kind of just that contentness to do nothing almost. But that has to take time to learn and build and um, explore, especially like I think a lot of that would be resolved when you give enough time before your maybe hobbies naturally come out. I would imagine that this is an exact feeling that people feel when they go into retirement, where they don't like it right away because they're like, who am I? What am I doing here? Because their whole life they were given the feedback from their like boss or workplace as a signal to some progression, some bigger thing that they're working towards, contributing towards, and same thing in university. And I think there's definitely parallels there, but I don't think people talk about it too much, because it is a struggle to be honest when your whole purpose is kind of set in getting all this stuff handed in and done, and then it's just gone instantly overnight. You're kind of like, what do I do? And I'm not worried. Like, I know that like you'll bounce out of it, and I have historically, but it's just a weird transient period while you do bounce out of it, because I think you just kind of have to embrace it or something and just acknowledge that it's there, and then kind of be content with waiting for your brain to kind of process it out. Because I mean, your brain gets like hyper wired into that mindset. I think it just takes also an equal amount of like unwinding to unwind those thoughts. It's crazy, but yeah. For me, like this past term, kind of not going into that. Excuse me. This past term, kind of not going into that like more philosophical talk, but in terms of like how the end was for me of my courses, that was the most challenging thing I have ever had to do, which is crazy to me because like, I mean, I have done like I've ran every day for like 400 something days, and that was a mental struggle to get up every morning and run even in like negative 30 degrees, negative 40 degrees Celsius like weather. That was a mental struggle. There's another running time where I had to push through, and it was like I was ill dressed for the weather. I was like up on a big mountain hill, and like the cold was destroying me everywhere. My eyelids were like searing shut, or searing shut with the ice. I could barely see. That was a mental struggle. I remember, having to push through like all the different late nights and stuff for getting assignments done. Like those are all mental struggles. Doing a marathon, half marathon, pushing yourself hard. Like those are all mental battles, right? But I kid you not, this end of term was unlike any of those mental battles fought before. I think I got very good at doing mental battles when they meet physical world. But this is kind of like mental meets a mental world. Like you're using your brain to do something that requires mental effort, such as like writing a paper. I despise kind of writing because I am someone that like I read the material and stuff. I do not want to spend time writing it down. It's a waste to me for someone to like read it one time, you know? So I kind of despise writing. I've kind of always had. So that's already like a very hard thing for me to do. But then like compounded in the term, I had like final project to do, stay up super late, crunch that out, hand it in, or no, not even hand it in, make a presentation for that whilst in parallel researching for this other MRI like that. So that first project was some like deep learning, crunch time with some teammates, then like research for an MRI project that I don't know much about, and then have to present that, then make a presentation for the deep learning project like the next day. Then after that's done, create a final report, and then pivot to writing a final paper in another class, and then start writing and researching the paper in another like class. And it's just like, and then there was like a couple of assignments. Like it's just mentally exhausting, excruciating. And then I crunch it all down and get through whatever. We've all been there, like been there, done that. And then I just reach like what seems to be like the final boss of like this one paper in my MRI class that I have to write. And I don't know. I think it's a mixture between the writing that I was explaining earlier, how I don't really like writing, and also it being the last deliverable after all the whirlwind of the past, that was like the past 3-4 weeks. The last deliverable, I was just unmotivated, and I just, just don't care. It's like the least of my, if this was my care chart, it was the least of my care chart, like, but then there's this aspect of just not, you don't want to fail yourself, because like, I think that like mentality was kind of hammered into you through university, and maybe like if you're an individual ambitious enough to do their masters, you're probably someone that like doesn't like failing courses or whatever. They always want to like put their best foot forward, and like I still did, but mind you, it took so long to write that paper. And it would be like, I would have like a burst of like energy to write, then just completely bonk out and need a reset for like 20-30 minutes, and then do it again and do it again and do it again. And that just took so much energy. It was harder than any writing I've ever had to do. It was harder than any like mental exercise, push myself wherever I ever had to do. That was so difficult, and I just completely crashed after it was done, which is so weird, because it's just like there's no physical component, it's just pure mental. But I think my brain was just sapped of everything that it had to offer me. And at least I know I can do it now, but like, that was just crazy difficult. And I think that also was a contributing factor to like the floundering that I was mentioning after being done on the courses. Because when you finish something of that nature, of like such a high like level of push, like you are probably going to feel an equal and opposite kind of like reset. And I think I'm kind of like in the reset phase. Hence like the floundering and whatnot. But yeah, it was just whirlwind, I tell you. Wasn't able to like make any updates or have any effort or put any effort forward to put any updates out because like that was crazy. And in some other like vlogs I mentioned like the mindset of like a better balance and like of courses and like maybe not pushing 100% on everything. And like mind you, like I was pushing as hard as I was able to, and I don't think I was getting like 100% perfection on everything. So I was achieving kind of a similar balance, but it was just like impossible to fully realize into actual practice because of how busy it all can get. But I'm done the courses and I'm ready to take on my thesis research, which I think will be quite interesting, and I'm looking forward to pursuing that. Thank you, and have a good day.